We pick up our phone on average 366 times a day. Yeah.
Are we a society that is addicted to screens?
100%.
In this episode of the Action Coach Business Growth Podcast, James Vincent sits down with Munur Shah, author of Screen Addict and creator of Rebel Therapies, to explore the powerful grip screens have on adults, kids, and society as a whole.
They're listening to you in the background. When do we introduce technology to our children?
This also applies to adults, yeah? All
Absolutely.
of this.
What if your phone wasn't just a tool, but the biggest distraction, addiction, and influence? Your phone might know more about your child than you do. If you've ever worried about your relationship with screens or your children's, this conversation will open your eyes. Let's do this.
What's the biggest myth about screens?
Brain rot.
Action Coach, the help you need to grow your business.
I was in New York on 9/11, and I was actually meant to be in the tower, so the North Tower on the 106th floor.
Is that was your desk on the 106th floor?
No, that was a breakfast meeting. I had just set up my new business, and I'd won a big project with Citigroup in New York. I worked in investment banking. That's where my background starts from after uni. And I just left my wife in London, living with my parents. We didn't have a home just then. We had just bought a house, and I'd won a project and said to her, let me go over to New York, set up, and if things go well, why don't you come on over, 3 to 6 months later. She had just moved from Australia to live with me, or we got married and we'd been back in London for a year. And there's me dumping my wife with my parents and my brothers and moving to New York. And it was my third day in New York. I arrived on September the 8th, and I was meant to be on the 106th floor having a breakfast meeting in the Windows of the World restaurant, which was beautiful. It was my favourite building. I used to go there every year, go right to the top, outside, brilliant. And I was meeting my sort of counterpart there for a business meeting in the morning before we went to the client site to set up this first day of the project. First day. I was in the hotel. I went to get my laptop and my bag and my jacket from my hotel room. I just had a coffee downstairs. This is at the Roosevelt Hotel in near Grand Central. And the phone rang in the hotel room. And back then, I didn't have a mobile phone. Well, not in the US. I had one of those flip-up phones for the UK, but it didn't work in the US. So I had no phone. And in the 12 seconds it took for me to go into my hotel room and pick up my jacket and my laptop, the phone rang in the hotel room. And I thought, either I leave it and I run, because I've got to meet this guy down in downtown, or I get it. I got it. Picked it up. It was my wife. So she was calling just to say good luck on your first day.
And
on
slow you
setting
down
up.
a bit.
But she slowed me down a lot, because it turned into, instead of a 1-minute phone call, it turned into a 40-minute phone call, because she got quite upset that I'd basically left her in London and she was with my parents. She wanted to be with me. That's the reason, leaving Australia and coming over. We got married and, all the bits that you do. And she was just not happy. She wanted to pack in her job, leave it, and come and live with me. And I said, hang on a second, I've just got here. I haven't even started yet. So it took a while. She was at work. She was in the staircase at work. She'd been crying. So it just got very emotional on the phone. It took a while. I mean, that was at least sort of 40 minutes. I came off the phone, looked at my watch and thought, we don't have time now. I don't have time to go down to the World Trade Center, meet this guy from Wall Street, and then do all the things he wants to do. So I called him and said, look, I'm going over to the client site, which is over in Queens. So I jumped on the 7 train, went to Queens. He didn't go. He stayed in Wall Street. And then as the train pulled out on the Queens side, the 7 train, someone just screamed. And you can, from when it pulls out, you can look down and you can see literally all of Manhattan, downtown. And I saw the first, the North Tower was ablaze. So you could see a fire. And then I saw the second plane. And that's when I saw the second plane go into the South Tower. And the train just erupted. It was madness. People screaming, people crying, some people just dead quiet, not really understanding what just went on. And then sort of realization hit quite quickly. I got off the train at Citigroup Tower, and there were loads of people outside. I had just met the project manager on the project the day before, very briefly in a meeting. He was outside, and he just looked at me and said, "That's probably the worst first day anyone can ever have on any job in any part of the world." And I'm like, yep, you're right. And he said, "You've got to go back. You've got to get back across the bridge, across the tunnel, because they'll close them all down. There'll be a lockdown." And before I could even think, I was back on the 7 train, heading back into Manhattan. Where am I going to go? What am I supposed to do?
What did you do?
I went back to the hotel. It was absolutely baking that day. I was sweltering already. I went and got changed, got into some shorts and t-shirt, and I went out for a walk. I went out just to get out and see what was going on. And one of the avenues looks straight down, and you can see the World Trade Centers. And at the same time, I picked up a disposable camera, because I just knew that there was something about that day, that would need to last forever, and I'd need to recall it forever to understand what happened. And I took all these different pictures of multiple sort of hoax bomb alerts and things like that, and people running along the streets, and it was just madness. It was a complete day of madness. And that's why I say that's probably one of my most significant moments of my life, was not being there. Those 12 seconds, that walking into that bedroom in the hotel to get my jacket. And it was those 12 seconds that mean I'm here today.
Sliding doors, isn't it?
It's exactly that. Yeah, it's sliding doors.
And your wife phoning up. Thank God. It's one of the phone calls that you don't want to have, where your wife's a bit upset and and you're thinking, "Oh my God, I've got a meeting to go to," and then, of course, more important, your wife, and you're on the phone for 40 minutes, which was a blessing in disguise.
I was trying to wrap it up. I kept trying to wrap it up, but it didn't work out that way. For the better, obviously. For the better,
yeah. Well, look, experience in life has shaped you who you are right now today. Now, whatever has happened, through 9/11, through footballing career or missed opportunity, however you want to look at it, it's definitely led us to this. Screen Addict.
Yeah.
Are we a society that is addicted to screens?
100%. 100%. We're in a place with screens where it's so difficult and to get away from them, or to.
Why is it difficult? What's so difficult?
I think I mentioned something about digital cocaine in my book. That's one of the terms that I put in there, and it is digital cocaine. It's once we pick it up, there are factors and forces moving through the screen to get us into a place where we have to.
Starting your own business was an exciting time, wasn't it? The good days you had, and the bad. You knew you'd have to work hard, but you did it for your future. Lately though, you're missing out on the important things in life. Time seems to be slipping by. So make the change. Claim back your work-life balance and grow your business today. Visit actioncoach.co.uk.
We feel we must pick up that screen. And I'll give you an example. So, I'm going to ask you, actually, what did you do first thing this morning?
Yeah, turn the alarm off.
Yeah, what was the alarm on?
To be fair, the alarm didn't even go off. I woke up before the alarm, so but I did turn it off, so it didn't work. But on my iPhone, picked the phone up, turned it off, checked some messages, bit of guilty pleasure. I go to BBC Sport, check on the gossip, see if Liverpool has signed anyone else.
Who's bought who?
Screen.
You know, we pick up our phone on average 366 times a day.
But that's almost every day of the year, isn't it?
Well, every day of the year, but that's in one day. We pick up our phones on average in one day 366 times. And if you think about that, if you think about the amount of time that you hold that little device in your hands, it's become attached to us like an umbilical cord. So it's like it's our little baby. Everywhere we go, we have our phones in our hands. Whatever we do, it's pumping something towards us. It's a bit like walking into a casino and getting the smells of the casino. You've got the lights, and the lights you've got no real lights. It's just false lighting. It's pumped smells into it. There's all the noises. There are the colors. There are the carpets. So the carpets are set out in a very specific way to guide you through the casino. And you don't know that. It's all behavioral science.
I'm so going to see that the next time I go. Sounds like I go to the casino a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, I used to when I was in, but it is a guide. It moves you. It guides you. It tells you where to go, what to do, how to react. And we get pumped messages at certain times, and messages are held back at certain times to hit you in one go, to make you want to pick up your phone. So that when you pick up your phone, you go, oh, look, I've got 16 messages. How amazing is that? That's your reward. And your reward is, I've got these messages, right?
That sounds like a punishment to me. I've got 16 messages.
And they will keep sending it to you. So they know that you're a Liverpool fan, or, you like to look at who's being signed. Yeah. So you're going to get lots of messages coming to you about Liverpool. And they'll know that. That's part of the algorithm. They'll put you into a big block of people who are all Liverpool supporters. So they might be Liverpool supporters, they like football, they like golf, they like this. So you're in one big group, and your avatar's been created. There is a James Vincent avatar in all of these different social media platforms, and they know what you look like, they know how tall you are, they know what waistline you've got, they know what kind of pants you buy, they know what watches you like, they know who you go to get your hair cut from. They know all these different things about you, and they create that every time you pick up the phone, every time you look at a site. It's pulling all the information from you. And if you've got the site on where it says, when you actually click on those terms and conditions to download, it automatically clicks on tracks you in terms of what you're doing on it, but it tracks you from sound and video. And if you haven't actually swiped up and opened and closed all of those applications down, they're working in the background. They're listening to you in the background. So if you've got any applications open on your phone now, and this is what I do with people actually. I do this in some of my talks. I get them to stand up. I pick someone out the audience and I get them to look at their phone. And some of them have got 40 different things open on their phones.
I probably have.
So I get them to close it all down. And then you go into the apps themselves, and you actually do shut them down. You can close off the microphone and the video capability, but they can record you. They can record you if you're sitting on the toilet. If you've got the app open, you don't know what's happening, but they can record you if you're looking at. Most people look at the phone on the toilet.
Yeah.
A lot of people have it in the bath. People move it around. When you go from the kitchen to the living room, you pick up your phone and you move it and you put it down, and you put it on the sofa. Then you might pick it up and look at it, and you put it on the table next to you. Then you pick it up and look at it again, and you put it. Or sometimes you don't even look at it. You just pick it up and move it. There are lots of things happening underneath in these in the apps that we use to change our behavior. And that is the basis of how I've come to this, is really to find out about the science behind it. Why is this happening? How is it happening? What can we do to change it? That's been my journey. It starts from
Are we a slave to our phones?
Yes.
What about children?
Yes.
Because this is all they know now.
Yeah.
I've got young kids.
Yeah.
They've got an iPad.
Yeah.
And, one day the internet was off. It was like, nothing's working. The internet, the TV is powered by Sky, and, nothing's working all of a sudden. So, but are our kids even worse slaves to the screens than we are?
I'd say long term, absolutely. Short term, the same as what we are. Because you don't know what you don't know. And what happens to our kids and the way that they're growing up now is that we're almost substituting us as role models, as parents, and the phones are taking that place.
It is really scary what you just said, though, that is. We're substituting ourselves as parents for a phone and whatever they're consuming on the phone.
Yeah. And we don't know
And that's
what they're
shaping
consuming.
their beliefs, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Not only is it shaping their beliefs, it channels them into only seeing or only thinking certain ways. So I've worked with a lot of children and a lot of parents, and what comes out from all of that is that the parents don't understand the impact the phones are having on their children. So they're saying their children are addicted, but it's actually the parents themselves that are addicted. And until they change their behavior, their children can't. But what you just said was something really important, which was about it changes their beliefs. Absolutely, because it only shows them what the algorithm wants to show them. And there is a reason for that, because we are inherently driven by disaster, distress, EastEnders, Coronation Street, right? There's always something desperately terrible happening. Painful.
Drama.
Oh, the drama is intense. We're driven.
It
by
grabs
that.
attention, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And at least 90% of what we have that comes to us is driven by that. That algorithm says, this is getting seen a lot. This is getting posted a lot. This is getting shared a lot. So let's share it with a wider group. Let's share it with a bigger audience. So, for instance, you might get, and this is quite distressing, but you've got things like most 10-year-olds have seen a live beheading. That's not acceptable.
No, that's definitely not acceptable.
Not acceptable. Not acceptable for anyone to see.
I had to process what you just said. That is definitely not acceptable. Most 10-year-olds have seen that.
Yeah. So there'd be a majority.
I've not seen that.
I know, but a 10-year-olds will, because young kids send distressing, horrible, violent scenes to their peer group. Now, imagine you've got a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old, two boys in your household, and the 13-year-old's seen it. More than likely, the 10-year-old will see it. Will have either seen it over his shoulder, or his 13-year-old brother wants to get a kick out of it and will show his 10-year-old just to see what reaction he's going to get. But he'll see it. Then he will say, can you share it? So then the brother will share it. And then he shares it amongst his peer group.
Yeah, look, yeah. And
then it just goes, but that's what happens with these, is that the algorithms are set up to pump out as much as it can so that it can just get you online. It just wants the algorithms are set up to get your attention. People say there's something really nasty about the social media companies and what they do. The nastiness is only about getting your attention. It's only about trying to keep you looking at that screen, because they've sold the promise to Nike and Adidas and all the other big organizations that want to buy a slot on that app. So if you're on Instagram, well, you need someone, or you're playing Candy Crush, and then suddenly an ad comes up when you're playing Candy Crush. And it ad's for, I don't know, Nike trainers, because you've been looking at Nike trainers the last 5 days. So they've taken that information, they've sold it on to all of the advertisers. The advertisers have said, great, you can get me in front of 20 million sets of eyes. Happy days. I'll pay you for it. It's a business. It's nothing more than a business, but they use incredible behavioral science to capture your attention.
Is it serving us well? And what part of the phone is serving us well?
I don't think phones are bad. So I'm going to flip the other way and say, actually, I think that the technology is fantastic. The bad part is some of the applications that we have housed on the phone. So it's not the glass that's the problem. It's what's actually on the glass, in the glass, that's the problem. And that is some of these organizations doing anything they possibly can to get your attention. Technology is fantastic. It's moving forward. We're not going to go backwards. This is the really important part here. We're not going backwards. We're not going back to the 80s or the 70s. And we shouldn't.
But should we be like closing down the apps like habitually every day? Should we be like not allowing it to access your video? And
yeah, we absolutely should. So the flip side to that is, the other part to it is we actually shouldn't be allowing our kids to have any of those apps in the first place. We need to think about how we introduce technology to our children. When does that happen? How does that happen? Who educates them about technology? When do we give them a smartphone? When do we pick up a smartphone and go, here you go, son, here's a smartphone for you. Okay, go knock yourself out.
Just hold that phone up. Just hold that phone up to camera here. Yeah, you just hold it. Because this looks like a smartphone, doesn't it?
It looks like a smartphone.
It's not. This is not a smartphone. This is a Rebel phone.
This is a Rebel phone. It's a Rebel phone.
So Rebel Therapies, just talk to me about, just give us a 30-second overview of what Rebel Therapies is, sure, and then introduce us to this phone.
Okay, so Rebel Therapies was set up in order to deliver courses, education, solutions around how to break away from being a screen addict. And that was part of my journey. So it's all about solutions. It's all about how can we empower our young and our old to humanely have a better relationship with technology. So not remove technology, but how to have a better relationship or a humane relationship with technology. So what we do is we help you rewire your brain. Rebel Therapies helps you uninstall all the installations that have happened to you. Every time you pick up your phone, you get a new installation. It's incredible, right? Every time you pick up your phone, a new install happens to you. But we help uninstall all of that and get you back to James 1.0. I use the same, very similar behavioral science techniques that they've used to get you addicted to these things by uninstalling that from you. And I show you how. And we teach you how. And then we give you these, what I call Jedi mind tricks, which are fantastic NLP type processes that you can use to take yourself and completely flip it on its head so that you're in control of your phone, not that your phone is in control of you. Nearly everybody on the planet is controlled by their phone.
Yes. In fact, I'm sure people have said that to every listener listening. You're controlled by your phone. My wife has said it to me a few times, you know. Not that many, and I'm constantly being aware of that. But I've heard loads of people talking about that.
Yeah.
So Rebel Therapies uninstalls it so that you're in control of it and it's not in control of you.
Yeah. And we take you through a process whereby we give you a whole bunch of stuff, but coaching is part of it, NLP is part of it, and we help you understand the science that has actually locked you in. So by understanding the science, understanding the behavior, which was set up many, many, many moons ago. I don't know if you've come across B.F. Skinner.
No.
And his...
you mean like Skinner's pigeons?
Yeah. Skinner's pigeons.
Cognitive behavioural therapy stuff. You know?
So operant conditioning.
Yeah.
All about...
And classical conditioning.
Yeah, classical conditioning, operant conditioning.
Put some crumbs in this side, bring the pigeons in over here.
Yeah.
So get them all working in nice orderly fashion.
Exactly. Get them pecking at the disc, getting a reward, finding out how that works. Godfather in that space, set it up perfectly. So much so that he unlocked that whole reward schedule. So the variable reward schedule, which is every time we hear a ding on our phone, that is Pavlov's dog. That's the saliva. That's exactly the same process. There's nothing different about it. Why doesn't anyone talk about this?
We've been conditioned.
We've been conditioned. Why do we not have more people talking about the whole idea around behavioral science, how that works, how we can change
Skinner's
it?
pigeons and Pavlov's dogs. I mean, this is classic, the original theories behind this stuff. Yeah, you're right. Not many people are talking about. I bet some of the listeners don't even know what Skinner's pigeons and Pavlov's dogs are.
No, they won't. They won't know about Skinner's pigeons. They won't understand what the experiment is. They won't know what variable reward schedule is. But it's all about how we are moved to pick up our phone. If it rings, if it dings, if the light comes on, even if it
most
doesn't.
Most people are on silent now, surely. I mean, it's vibrations.
No, wait, have you heard the buses and the trains? No, they're not. People are absolutely not on those, but you are still triggered. Your brain and the impact of dopamine that happens to your brain when you think about your phone, you're automatically thinking about phone, BBC Sport, Liverpool, sign player, yes or no. That's the first thing that comes into your head, whether you like it or not, right? You're going to think, I need to check the gossip. Did they sign a player overnight? Did they get that guy? Did they get, and it just, but this happens in multiple ways, multiple people. Our young kids are going to bed at night with their phones underneath their pillow. It's vibrating, it's buzzing, the light comes on, they're not sleeping. It's impacting their growth, it's impacting their brains.
Feels like maybe a bit of a random question because you've not mentioned it, but the phone under your pillow, is there any signals that it's giving off that's bad or anything like that or not?
So there's a lot going on right now. There's a massive study that happened in India, and they talk about the impacts of radiation and the waves because again, there's so many things we don't know about, or we don't know what you don't know, and we do need to know. People need to talk about this. The waves that come from our phone are constant. So they have a massive impact to us and what happens to us from how our brains develop, connect, what we do. They need to be interrupted. They can't be constant waves, right? For this to be safe. But they're constant. So there are chips, there are devices that you can put on your phone to help change what that looks like. But the impact of the waves to our children and the way that they grow and how their brain processes is absolutely smashed from a young age. Now that is still going through. There's still more science that needs to come up about that. There are doctors there's a doctor in Leicester who's doing research about this as well. There's so much happening in this space around the radiation side and what that does and the heat. But the disturbed sleep is the one that causes our children so much pain and problems because they're not alert. They're not clear. They write things. When you put something out there, it's out there. You can't pull it back. It causes them inane amounts of problems when they go to school. I've got schools telling me, we've banned smartphones from school, but we get the fallout from everything that happens in the evening.
Yeah.
So there's no point in banning the smartphones at school. You're getting the same fallout you would be if the smartphones were at school.
You're moving it. Yeah.
You're pushing it out, and what you're doing is you're confining it to a smaller period of time. But you're not educating your children about what that looks like, how to learn about being humane with a smartphone. What does that mean? So we do a lot of stuff with schools around educating them about technology. And we want to do that from year 1 to year 13. We'd love to do that and talk to the government and have that as something that we do in schools just as part of the norm about how to educate our children around technology, when to introduce social media and social media platforms to our children. When do we introduce technology to our children?
Well, look, the listeners are business leaders, personal development junkies, business owners. A lot of them have children, but this also applies to adults, yeah? All
Absolutely.
of this applies to adults. Now, there's 3 pillars that you profess, yeah?
Yeah.
Which is awareness,
Yeah.
education,
Yeah.
and control.
Absolutely.
And that's what your NLP education does and develops?
Yes. Yeah, it does. So the 3 pillars are really quite important. And I keep mentioning, I think I mentioned it a few times, which is you don't know what you don't know. And that's where the awareness comes. So
I'm acutely aware of far more right now.
Yeah.
Invested this time with you,
Yeah.
for sure.
But the awareness is really important. And I think the awareness for us as adults is more important than anything else, because for us as adults, as parents, as teachers, as caregivers, that is where we need that group of people to understand what's actually going on. Once they understand, well, then we can get into the second part, which is educating them.
Your book deserves to be published, and selfpublishing.com wants to help make it happen. You'll work one-to-one with an author strategist to write, publish, and market your book the right way. With more than 8,000 authors and 100,000 books in print, they know what works. Ready to bring your story to life? Visit selfpublishing.com/ActionCOACH right now.
So the first part is awareness, is understand what is happening and why is it happening and how is it happening. And then educating them gives them the skill set, brings in that coaching, brilliant part of coaching. Everyone needs a coach. I think every single person on the planet should have a coach. But it's about coaching the person, understanding what is driving them towards the phone in the first place, or to screens, or to gaming, or to pornography, which is all online. There's so many more things.
Yeah,
which
look,
are
let's
linked.
not skirt around some of the subjects here.
Yeah.
Just feel free just to name and shame it all. Yeah. How young is too young? How young is too young, by the way?
How young is
for this awareness and education?
We can start literally in that book, the first chapter is about a family that I worked with whose 18-month-old was addicted.
Yeah, but doing this with the photos.
Doing that with the photos, but the phone has to go everywhere with her. The phone went everywhere. She wouldn't eat without the phone. She wouldn't get in a bath without the phone. She wouldn't go to bed. She wouldn't get in a car without a screen. And it was causing problems between the parents. If the phone dropped out of her bed or out of her cot, actually, she would scream. And it caused the problems with the parents. And the parents were, nearly divorcing. There's so many issues. There's gamification. There's people that are buying things on games that are costing their parents hundreds or thousands of pounds. There are kids that are about to take their own lives who are being extorted because they've sent nude photos to somebody who they think is real. And that person isn't real. The person's been made up. There's so many things that happen to our young.
Oh, all right. So chapter 2, the nude predator.
The nude predator. That's yeah.
Are we talking about predators online?
Absolutely. We're talking about gangs. We're talking about people, whether they're gangs, whether they're predators, whether they're just some nasty people that are wanting to get our children's information, attention.
Look, I've got to ask these kind of questions, because some of the listeners will have children that might be accessing pornography.
Yeah.
Some of them might be very young. Some of them might be teenagers.
Yeah.
What advice have you got for parents?
The simple advice I've got for parents is try to understand what's happening in your children's lives. So the most important part of that is you don't know what's going on. You don't know what they're seeing, and you don't know what they're posting. So if they've got something like Snapchat, you have no idea what they have sent to somebody else. You've got no idea what they're doing in their bedrooms. My best piece of advice, and one of my top pieces of advice, is to create a strong relationship with your children. And that, I'll sort of circle back round. That is, you have one question every day, which is a critical question when your children come back from school. If you get that question wrong, your child will close up, tell you you're an idiot, and go up to their bedroom and lock themselves away. And they're back on their phone or their iPad. You have one question. The question needs to be a question that will open your child up. And that question is about, what do they like? What is it that's important to your child? And I'll tell you why. Happened to me. And I had to do that with my daughter. So my daughter came back from school, and I had to see how I could make my relationship stronger and better with my daughter. Even though it was good, it wasn't good enough. I didn't know she was getting bullied online. I didn't know all the things that were happening to her because she kept it secret. She thought I would get angry at it, right? Or judge her because of it. Well, I knew there was something wrong. And the only way I could try was to use all of those wonderful techniques, sort of NLP coaching techniques, and ask her a really interesting question that would get her to open up. So I asked her about BTS. Do you know about BTS?
No.
The boy band? South Korean boy band. Okay, you've got to look up BTS. Biggest boy band in the world. She was mad about BTS. So I asked her, what's the next song? When's their next song coming out? What's happening with BTS?
Scold us.
So she went into a different space, but that opened up the conversation. It opened up for me to then ask her another question and then another question, and then got that relationship so strong that she could tell me about the things that were happening online, the bullying that was happening at school. That's really important. If there's anything that you take away from this,
it is that.
That.
You got me straight away, you know. I was like Pink Pony Club, this song that's going on at the moment. Mine are younger.
Yeah.
But the question that opens the door, really.
Yeah.
This is the one. The thing that you've got me thinking about is, you know, in a world of intelligence, we're in an intelligence era, the artificial intelligence era.
Yeah.
Literally, artificial intelligence is thinking for people now. I mean, that's the era that we're in. But what I'm hearing is emotional intelligence. That is the future. We've got that skill is the defining characteristic of how to deal with children.
Yeah, correct. And 100%. If we don't have that, and unfortunately, we don't know that. We don't know how to do that in a way that is effective. That's just because that's not the way we're wired. We are, but we're not. And we fall into a trap where we say we're too busy, right? I don't have much time. We give our kids a phone, a screen. Look at that because I'm too busy. I've got to go and do this, or I've got to go and do that. Our emotional intelligence, what you've just been talking about, is nearly zero at that moment in time because we've taken away any kind of leverage we would have, and we've chucked it in the bin. So instead of doing that with our kids, that's where the whole thing about that one question, we have one. Every day we have one question, and we've got to get that right. And by getting that right, we make our lives a lot easier for ourselves and our children as we take that through their childhood, going from, you know, year 1 to year 13. There's so much more in that space about what happens to our kids, what happens to their brains, who they listen to, who they watch, who gets under their skin. Boys in particular. Boys close off. Boys tend not to have that conversation or conversations. They want to just go into their rooms and they'll put on their headsets and play games. And then they're listening to all of this negative stuff that's coming to them. They've got people talking to them. They've got kids sending them stuff at school. They have the old Andrew Tate stuff comes up, which is, you know, it polarizes our children. It changes the way that they navigate the world. It changes the way that they interact between themselves, but between them and women. And that's huge. We have it's like we're in a war zone.
Well, you become what you hang around. What you consume is really, really important. Yeah. And I'm not just meaning physical consumption. What you're absorbing is it, because it begins to impact your beliefs and your mentality. Now, this feels like a bit of a profound statement. So I just want to play with it for a second.
Yeah.
Can you think of any reasons why every single person listening to this right now should not put emotional intelligence at their top of the list of personal development areas? Are there any reasons why not? Every single listener. Is that the top agenda piece for personal development? Emotional intelligence?
I think it has to be. I think it has to be up there. If it's not the top, it's one of the top 3. But it's definitely, I think to me, it is the top. It's got to be. You need to understand what's going on. You need to understand your interaction with yourself first and foremost. So it's emotional intelligence.
It's different.
For you.
It's different emotions now, isn't it, with screens to what we've had in the past? Because it almost certainly every household listening, there's some kind of emotions that's related with what's on TV, with doing lots of work at the computer on an evening, or fighting with your partner because they're on the phone all of the time.
Yes.
There's loads of emotions that's related to screens.
Yeah.
And somehow we've got to navigate that space and do the right thing for everyone, including ourselves. Yeah. Surely that's emotional intelligence.
It is. It is. And I mean, you just mentioned that. And then going back to the whole awareness, education, control, that's all driven by emotional intelligence.
Well, look.
It's all tied to it. It's completely underpinned by it.
I mean, emotional intelligence in its classic form is awareness and management, or, awareness and management of. So aware of your own emotions and management of your own emotions, and aware of the other person with their emotions and how they're managing their emotions. Yeah. There's 4 areas, and we've got to be skillful in all 4 areas to navigate this conversation in the best possible way, and for everyone involved.
Absolutely. And that's part of what we teach. That's part of our process, is to get you to look at, one, in this conversation, or in a conversation that you want to have with your child, what does that look like? You can do it for yourself, but we get you to step into the other person's shoes. Get you to step into your shoes. I step in, I become James. I need to understand what's James thinking as he's sitting across from Munur. Yeah. What's he thinking? What's he looking at? What's he seeing? What's he thinking? What's he feeling? How does that look like? What does that look like? And we do that with our children. And if we do that in a certain way, and we take them through the process, then you can gain so much more information about that conversation that you have on a day-to-day with your children, to be able to pull the right levers, change direction, and get to where you need to get to help them navigate what good looks like with technology, to help them navigate what good looks like with their friendship groups, how they're going to respond tomorrow when they go back to school. There's all these different parts to it, but it also helps you to become non-judgmental, non-confrontational, non-aggressive. These are all the key points to driving that strength in that relationship, to getting to that pinnacle of emotional intelligence. We want we want everyone that works with us to be able to have that skill, so they can use it, not just with their children, but with their boss at work, with a difficult confrontation with people that they may have on a day-to-day, that they need to change what that narrative looks like. And they can only do it if they go through a certain process.
I think it's connecting on an emotional level. We're all going to become empaths in the future. That should become our superpower. Non-judgmental, non-confrontational, non-aggressive, as you said. You've definitely got me thinking of this, and it's, you mentioned conditioning earlier on. So I know you mentioned Pavlov's dogs, but dog trainers, as bizarre as this might sound, they kind of get it, because most dog trainers, I think all dog trainers, they use positive reinforcement,
Yeah. Hopefully.
Hopefully. I think all dog trainers, they train the dogs through positive reinforcement,
Yeah.
not negative reinforcement.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably common in society that we get scolded and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Negative reinforcements, consequences of.
Yeah.
How important is that for us as adults and as parents? Like, we're using positive reinforcements for ourselves.
Yeah.
As parents, with children.
Some of us do. Not all of us. Not all of us. Some of us do. How many times have you gone into a room and had a go at your children because they're on their phones or they're playing games or they've been making too much noise, and the first thing you do is,
I'm working
will you stop that?
Working on this stuff. I think we're all working on this stuff.
We are.
You know, and that's an acknowledgement, you know. But the more that we can control ourselves, be aware of the situation,
Yep.
and, you know, use positive reinforcements, I think we can learn from dog trainers to a certain degree, as arbitrary as that sound.
Yeah.
I mean, we're just training ourselves here.
Yeah, and we need to do that more so. We absolutely do need to do that more so, but we have to take that first step. And the stuff that we explain and what we do in Rebel Therapies is that we being the adults, have to take that first step. If we don't do it, how do we expect our children to do it? What is the first step for us?
What is the first step?
Be aware. Become aware. The first step is become aware, is understand what's actually happening in your life for you regarding your screen. Because that was me. I know that. I scrolled for 7 hours. I used to scroll looking at my phone and end up, 2 a.m. thinking, what's just happened? Where's my time gone? It's about us.
Give us an example of anyone that you've worked with so we can relate to this. Mention no names, because obviously this will be some deeply personal stuff, but give us an example of a person that you've helped become aware and what they became aware of and all this kind of stuff.
So there was a lady and her daughter, and she was upset that her daughter was spending too much time on her phone. Right. So social media after school, whether it was TikTok or whatever it looked like. When we decided to work together, I wanted to understand what her day-to-day looked like. And so we walked through what she would do. Her daughter didn't stand a chance, because this lady was on TikTok, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, on YouTube, on Facebook. So she was spending most of her evening looking at her phone, and then telling her daughter not to look at her phone, telling her daughter to do her homework, telling her daughter to eat well. But she herself
unaware,
was completely unaware of it, completely didn't think it was a problem, not realizing that she is the role model. She is the one that sets standards, good behavior, boundaries. Boundaries are massive, right? Boundaries are things that we have to have. Our kids have to have boundaries. You can't just let them loose. There are some people that say you can and you should, and should's a bad word. I don't think you should. I don't think you can let your kids just loose. It'd be the same as giving our kids keys to the car at the age of 11. Here you go, son. Here's the keys to the car. Off you go. And they get in the car, they pick up a couple of strangers on the way, don't know, there's some drugs in the back, maybe not, some alcohol, and off they go. On this planet, when would we ever give our kids keys to the car at the age of 11? Or at the age of 10?
Well,
or at the age of 9?
Do you know what? There's laws against it. And that might be part of the problem.
There are laws.
Do you think there's going to be laws in the future?
I think there will be. Do I agree with laws? I agree with education.
The work, though, to a degree, don't they, laws?
They do, but it's very difficult to...
reasonably civilized society, haven't we?
Yeah, we do, but it's very difficult to implement laws around phones. It's very difficult to implement laws around phones, unless you just say to them, you can't have phones. And then what are we doing? Are we taking away the ability for our kids to understand and learn about technology? Are we hamstringing them for later on in life? When everything else is moving around them, technology is flying ahead.
I want to acknowledge a point from Elon Musk, whether his name's good, bad, indifferent, no judgment.
Yeah.
All right. He holds the phone up and he said, this is good news. This is helping everything move forward. You know, it's part of his secret weapon to moving forward at pace. Agree, disagree?
It absolutely is moving him forward at pace, without a doubt, isn't it? I mean, Elon Musk can switch a car off. If you've got a Tesla, he can stop it from moving. It's up to him. He can just, big massive switch he's got in his house, he can pull it down and then all the Teslas will stop working. Look, absolutely.
He didn't have to pull it down.
No, he just press a button. He's got it on his phone. Look, it absolutely is a fantastic benefit. I'll go back to technology is brilliant. All right, I'm not here to bash technology. I'm here to try to work out and help our society understand and work out how and when to allow our children the availability of technology, but not just technology, what sits on that technology. So the technology can be fantastic in terms of helping our kids get along, grow, learn, educate. It's amazing, to be in contact with people on the other side of the planet on a face to face, which is amazing. Speak to your grandparents over in Australia. That's what my kids can do.
That's old school though now, isn't it? That's 15 years old now,
But that technology is fantastic and it's moved forward. Yes, it's moved forward. But what we decided, what we at Rebel Therapies think we need to understand, or we want to help people understand, is as to when to introduce technology to our children. But not just when, it's how. And that's where that educate part, I come back to, it's sort of a second pillar, is educating our children around technology, is showing them what it looks like, is introducing it to them gently. I go back to the sort of the car, the keys to the car. We take our kids go-karting. But before that, we take them to bumper cars, right? So bumper cars, go-karting, and then we may take them to, Brent Cross at the top where they can be a young driver, learn to drive. We're taking them through the process. We're teaching them in a boundaried, in a way that is carefully looked after. It's considered how we grow, how we teach them how to drive a car, to get to a point where they don't have to go and do a test and get a license to own a car. Now, I'm not saying get a license to own a phone, but I am saying we need to educate our children. We need to show them what that looks like and take them through a process. We're introducing this Rebel phone. It's ready in 2 months time. By the 1st of August, people can pick up the Rebel phone.
What's so different about it?
It's a smartphone with no browser and no social media.
You're a rock star.
You can still message people. You can still use text. You can still message your parents. Your parents can still track you. Track you. We can come on to that. Your parents can still track you. This is the number one question I get asked about this phone. Can I track my child? I need to know where they are.
So this is a smartphone that you can't download apps.
You can download apps. You've got apps, but you can't download social media. There's no social media. There's no YouTube. The apps are all about education, banking, bus timetables, train timetables, everything. There are so many apps that you can download that you can use as part of schools, Google Classroom. There's so many things that you can do here.
And still text.
Schools, and still text. You just don't have Snapchat. You don't have Instagram. This is for when parents. So the reason we thought this was a fantastic idea and concept, which was born out in New York, is that it's that in between. It's the go-kart. It's the go-kart. It's the in between the The flip-up phone, right, which people call a dumb phone. I don't know, call it. It's a flip-up phone. It's a phone with no social media or browser access. The flip-up phone, but you can't track. You can't. It's got the old. You got to press a button 3 times to get to a C. You know, kids get bored of that. This is the in between. You've got the smartphone at one end. You've got the people calling the brick or the flip-up phone at the other end, and right in the middle is what we're calling the Rebel phone. It's what we have schools here in the UK wanting to take on board and pioneer and say, yes, this is what we want our year 6s going into year 7 to have. We want them to have this phone. We want them to have this and learn about how we educate them then, how we educate our children going forward about technology. Where do we drop social media? What social media do we drop? Do we drop it in at 13, 14, 15? That's down to us. That's down to us. That's down to a society. It's down to schools. It's down to parents. So this is something which is going to, I think, revolutionize. I think it will revolutionize the world in terms of the next steps and learning about tech. Having a smartphone, which will, as they get to their next birthday, drop the next level of apps that they can download. But the parents can still look at everything because they'll have an app on their phone that can see everything going on their kid's phone. They can see how long their kids have looked at it. They can switch it off.
Beautiful.
They can stop them from downloading. So all these things are part of us teaching and educating our children and putting boundaries around the inherent problems that we've had grow over the last 15 years with almost like a Wild West approach to technology, where there have been no boundaries, there's been no help, no guidance. I did a talk at a school for year 12 students 4 weeks ago. It was to 100 year 12 students. What I want to say to you is within 6 minutes, I had 3 students standing up on stage with me, and I had obtained all of their information. They had given me their full name, full home address, birthday, phone number. If they had a national insurance number, 2 of them did, they gave it to me, and all their bank details. I played a game with them. And because they thought I was trusted, they gave me as much information as I asked.
That is a scary reality
and that's where we are today for our kids that are aged 10, 9, 10, 11, who are online talking to people they don't know, thinking that they're talking to another 10-year-old, and sending them information about where they are, who they are, where they live, what they do, what school they go to. Because the other kid is saying, oh, I live in the same area. I just live on, I don't know, Beresford Street, and they live on Ashford Street. Oh, that's actually really close. How comes, maybe we can catch up. Shall we meet up? These things happen. I've got horror stories I can walk you through.
No, I don't want to walk through. I want to be aware of it. I've got a few quick questions to begin to wrap up, actually.
Okay.
What's the weirdest habit you've seen on phones?
The weirdest habit?
Yeah, that people have, the way that the phone is controlling them.
I think I'd call it weird, but it's common. It's when people are in a restaurant as a group, as a family.
And everyone's
on their phones. Every single person in that group is on the phone. So they go in.
It's surprisingly common though, isn't it? I'm sure we've done it before. I'm sure
Yeah. But I've seen an entire family come in for dinner, sit down, look at their screens, order the food, eat their food, pay the bill, and leave while still looking at their screens.
What's the worst habit?
I think the worst probably is young kids just scrolling inanely in their bedrooms at at what they call brain rot. Have you come across brain rot before, the term brain rot?
I think so it does what it says on the tin.
It says, but they know it. They call it brain rot. And they say to their friends, oh, I just spent 4 hours, watching brain rot. And there are things that are created specifically
for brain rot.
It's just mind-numbing rubbish that kids look at.
Is Mr. Beast brain rot?
Mr. Beast is a very interesting gentleman.
He's a gentleman as well.
He's a gentleman. And his career took off because of being an Instagrammer, promoting different goods, and people saying, "Oh well, now that he's been seen, billions of times, let's get him to promote our, our sweets, our jumpers, or whatever." I see him changing, and I'm seeing him really understand, through other people I know who know him, the pitfalls of technology. And I think you might soon find he is going to be on a mission which will tie in to what we're doing.
I agree. He's a very humble kind of guy. I think he's come across emotional and upset about various different things.
Yeah.
He's aware of the impact that it's having. He's got the massive, his biggest thing on YouTube, isn't it?
Yeah. And he wants to change things. He will want to change things.
Yeah.
And I can't say much more than that, but I know he wants to change things.
Okay. Yeah. So what are you most proud of in all of your achievements?
For me, there was one particular moment, and it was this one lad whose father called me, and he told me, "I'm worried that my son's going to take his own life, so I need you to talk to him." And this was about 9, 10 o'clock at night. I spoke to the father. I asked if the son would be available to speak to, and he was. And I found out later that he was. He was hours away from taking his own life. My biggest achievement is turning that around and getting him to really, flipping his belief about where he was, and that there was nothing more he could do to change his life because of some of the things that he did online. We flipped it in an hour and worked with him and his parents for a few months just to make sure that they were in a good space. And I would say that's my biggest achievement in what I've done with this stuff around screens.
And dare I say, that just needs to happen hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands and millions of times for people that need it. It's very common.
Yeah.
If you could rewire one belief in people's minds around everyone on the planet, what would you rewire?
I would rewire not rewire, I would implant the method and the idea of operant conditioning into each of those people's brains so that they understood and that they knew from the get-go of what was happening to them from the moment they picked up a bit of technology. So as long as they understood what happens and they were in control, that would be that's the kind of the belief, that's the rewire. The rewire is change their belief structure completely.
What's the biggest myth about screens?
Biggest myth about screens that are not good for you. I can't say they're not good for you. They are good. They serve a purpose. They serve a purpose, and they have to serve a purpose. And if for us to live, for us to grow, we have to understand what that is. We've got to understand how we manage and navigate that. And we've got to understand how we, again, go back to teaching our children, educating them from the moment dot, actually pre-dot, get to the parents before, as they're pregnant, before they have the kids. So everything I want to do is prevention. Unfortunately, right now I'm doing a lot of firefighting, but I want to do the prevention part.
Well, it sounds like you're going there, and the likes of like the Mr. Beast that's going to be involved along the way. Unbelievable. So what's the best advice you've ever had?
I think it's to never give up. That came from my grandmother, is to never give up. If you fully believe in something, never give up. Somebody somewhere will listen, and someone somewhere will take action, but never give up. And I am not in any way going to give up on my mission. And my mission is to try and get every single person on this planet to be in control of what they do and understand what's being done to them. That's the main thing. Happened to me, happened to my kids. I want to turn their lives around like I turned mine.
What's been the hardest lesson you've had to learn yourself?
Rejection. That's quite easy. Non-believers. But rejection, I think. People not quite understanding or rejecting the idea that you can actually change a belief. I think there's lots of people out there that won't or can't or say that they can't, but everyone can change a belief in a heartbeat.
My favourite part of this conversation has been the importance of and empowerment of controlling technology so it doesn't control you, being in control. And honestly, I'm speaking for parents, for business leaders, for children. I'm speaking for all of society here. My favourite part is I'm going to be far more aware myself about I'm going to be controlling technology rather than it controlling me. There's some simple things I can do straight away. What's been your favourite part of the discussion?
Well, having a chat with you first and foremost. I think the whole idea around, for me, it's the bit around operant conditioning. And it comes back to your control moment, making sure that you understand that you're in control and what that looks like. But when we do that, there is an aha moment in the room. And the aha moment is, wow, really? I can actually control what's going on here. And once you get that, it changes your entire life. It puts you into a place of power over tech, and that is generally flipped the other way around, whereas tech has power over us.
Well, you've certainly helped us do that today. Thank you very much, Munur.
Thank you for your time.